Bad nose out of party, man. Oh my god.
I'm a fire starter, twisted fire starter.
Hey, how you going? Today I'm going to have a walkthrough with what I've got going on here. I haven't done anything since Brash and that. Unfortunately with COVID the car scene is non-existent. So besides working and getting through lockdown and things like that, the last month and a half's probably been really hard for us at home here. We had a really sick pup and he had an autoimmune disease. He was only 4 years old, so we fought very hard to get him better. Unfortunately, after a few blood transfusions and a lot of medication and time running back and forth from here to Sydney up to the emergency vets for overnighters and things like that, I had to sell the Breakout. I had the Harley Breakout. I had to pay for a lot of medications and just the vets and things like that, vet bills. Unfortunately he did pass away. So he passed away about 2 weeks ago and his body just shut down, and it was devastating for us. So we've had a really hard time lately, and a part of that hard time was trying to distract myself with a little bit of things. And I had a lot of parts, Harley parts laying around. I had a painted frame, motor and box laying in one shed, and bits and pieces laying in another shed, and cables and things like that in boxes. And I decided to distract myself and start putting something together. I got most of the mock-up done before I decided, hey, maybe it's time to start getting behind the camera again. Yeah, so been a really hard time, but let's get back into it and start moving ahead and start doing what I enjoy doing. So thanks to Laurie from USA Motorcycles at Albion Park. He helped me with so many parts. It's the little things that I couldn't find or didn't have that he had, and to have somebody to talk to about this build in particular it's just been awesome to send photos to somebody and get positive feedback from a couple of mates, including him. It's really lifted my spirits, and I can't thank you guys enough. So everyone that's been there for me, I haven't spoken about this until now, except for a couple of close friends that knew about it. And let's get this one going. I'm really excited. This is going to be a memorial bike to my pup Cheeky. So I'm going to have him, I might have something in the paintwork here with a nice cross or something and dedicated to. So that's what I'm thinking about there. All custom stretch tanks on this. This is not mounted yet, so that's what I'm hoping to do today. This is actually a twin cam seat off a Dyna I bought, and I mounted it to the old Springer seat underneath here. At the moment it's just riv nutted in. I have bent up this bit of metal here, and it just sits down on top of my springs, on top of the springs here. Hey Squishy, what are you doing? Yeah. So it just mounts on these springs, and because it's a rigid frame, it just takes a lot of shock out of your back. I did go with a 16-inch rim this time with a bigger sidewall, so I can play around with tyre pressures, because I know with rigids in the past I've had, the biggest tuning of comfortability with these bikes is through that rear tyre pressure. It can either make or break a riding experience. You can either ride a rigid and think it's the best thing in the world, or come home and you just hate on it. So I've decided to go with a bigger sidewall. Today I'm going to make up, I've got two threaded bolting points here on either side, so I'm going to make a strut that goes from here to here, and I've got some steel here. So what I'm going to do is probably come down, angle it out this way, and then down to here. So up, angle it, and then up. I'll put a washer behind the strut, put a nut and bolt in there. See if we can get it mounted that way. With this, I got the seat bar that runs around the back with 2 holes, so I'm going to utilise them holes. Maybe put a bit of steel behind here with riv nuts, lock it all in, and then set all this up, and then I'll tack weld the steel that's riv nutted to the guard, take it off and weld it. So that will be the front mounting point plus the rear struts will hold that. So it's been a while since I cracked out the welder. Well, this is what I use, the Unimig Viper gas. But what I'm going to do is I'm just charging up my helmet so it works. But what I'm going to do is just grind this up quickly. I've had this vise set up in the back of the shed, but it's where all my paint stuff is. So I don't really want to weld and grind where there's oil and thinners and all sorts of shed fire stuff. So I'm just going to grind that up quickly. I just cleaned it with anything I've had laying around with Start Your Bastard. Start Your Bastard alcohol cleaning, I guess it will work. So give a bit of a grind up, smash it with some weld. It'll probably be ugly as hell. I like welding, but I find I need to do it regularly to be neat. Otherwise I forget the settings and different materials, and it's just ugly. So we'll see how we do. I want to weld on here so I can just get my head around a couple of things before I start welding up this fender. Alright, cool. Sweet. So just a few decent little welds on there, but just yeah, just a couple of little welds on there. Not the prettiest. Penetrated. But yeah, a little hard with the cast. I didn't really clean it properly, but I'm not too unhappy with it. Got a sizzle on. It sizzled, so I like that. Didn't splatter or nothing. Just use this vise to sort of bend it up where I want it, and I'll do the hard side first because this side's got the bigger bend to get my height. Where this side sort of, it's going to have a little bend, but the bend will be short, and then I can just cut the strut to length that way to suit this side. This side's going to be a little bit harder, so I'll do that, and then I can bolt it in. That box tube won't be all the way. The box tube will stop about here, and it'll just be the strap that I'll bolt into. So there'll be probably an inch of strap like past the box tubing to sort of bolt things off. The box part's just the strength, so I've never done that before. I probably could just get away with just bending up that bit of strap, but I want it pretty solid, so let's go from there. So seeing I've got a fair bit of this this strap, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly measure. I'm going to make a mock-up one, so just off by eye I'll measure. I'll just, with the marker go about here, and I'll bend it in, and then I'll bend it in this way, like towards the rim, and then bend it back, make it flush, and I'll use this as a template. I've got a lot of it, and then it won't hurt, so I'll just use this one as a template, and then that will give me my length that I need to cut the new one, and I'll weld that other bar into it and go from there and see how it turns out. And just like that, so there's the bolt hole up here. I'm just going to have a washer, pre-drill down here where that hole is, and you can see the angle. I'm really happy with that, and that is actually not as long as I thought it was going to be, and being it's like 3 mil thick, that doesn't even need reinforcing, so I am super happy with that. I'm going to round off the edges with the grinder, just make them nice and round, top and bottom. I'll drill a hole for them, and what I like about this is it's going to give me something to make a chain guard off, straight down through here. So I'll weld a chain guard off it coming down, even if it's a little strip of steel, and that will keep everyone happy. It'll keep my ass happy if I throw a chain. I'm really happy with that. I'm not even going to reinforce it, so I'm going to go ahead and make the other side. Well, actually, no, I won't. I'll do the front mount, this side mount. What I've got is, I've got a little container under there, and that's giving me my height off the wheel. So I'll do the front mount now. This hard side, this hard mount, and then I'll do the easy one on the end, and I'll make sure that it's all square and true and not ugly, and go from there. Man, I'm happy with that. Beating on this, I actually broke them little worlds through the cast, so I took that challenge on and I just hammered it. Go again, and I joined it, I linked it in the middle, so the weld was to the steel and not just to the cast, and then ran it up either side. So did that. I was hitting on it pretty hard. That's what made me think that this steel is going to be fine on its own with that strut, as a strut. So let's get it going. We're always getting it going. Let's get it going again. So just about out of battery, but this is what I got up to so far. So I bent this little bit of steel up, bolted it through near the battery box, just Allen key bolts here and here. Utilise them 2 holes. So what I'm going to do now is I've just cleaned them. I'm just going to spot weld these nuts in. I'll just give them a little sand over because they've got like the anodize on them, the black anodize. So I'll just spot weld them in. Then I'll take it over to the bench and I'll weld them onto that bracket a little bit better. And then this bracket will get welded to my rear guard. So all I've got to do is undo the Allen keys from the inside, and that will be my front guard mount for the rear guard. Alright, cheers. And just like that. So that's probably actually good enough. Where am I there? Yeah, that's probably good enough just to hold them nuts in. So I've got a bit of a flash off that one. Where am I? There I am. Yeah, it's not a bad little weld. Not bad little spot weld, so let's do this again. Just using my phone. So with this front guard, rear guard, sorry, I got on, you'll see that I got that bar running behind the frame, the seat frame here, and I got it bolted in and spaced out, both sides. I got it spaced out, so, where am I? So the bolt didn't come through and hit the guard. It's in there, but just the nut. So I spot welded that nut. Spot welded the nut on the inside to the guard, and then I kept bridging it. I bridged from the nut to the guard, and I didn't blow through. I'm actually really happy with how that's welding. This little welder's going great guns. I'll clean all that up obviously, but did the same to the other side. And what I'm going to do is up underneath, where you can see, see if I can get my finger. Oh, you can see that bar behind the, you can see that bit of just there, that runs the length across. So I'm going to weld this to this fender, and it's bolted into this frame just behind the seat. So that's where the strength's going to be, and it won't be as ugly, you won't see much. So I'll clean this up, even though I thought that didn't weld too bad. Yeah, bridging that and then running a weld over the top, that sort of pennied pretty well without blowing through the tin. So that's the front mount, and that's going to be good. And what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to have a nice little relay box. This bike's ready to roll with the basic chopper wiring, but I'm going to buy an Ultima bike wiring kit, and I might have to get someone to help me with this, but I want to run indicators and things on this horn and that sort of stuff. And I reckon the relay boxes will sit, well, this is what it's designed to on the shovels. This is actually a shovel guard, and that's where you actually mount your fuse boxes, and you run everything to that, and then from the battery and then off to wherever it's got to go. So that's the front mount. I got this one done like we showed you earlier. That bolt's in there, like down on that, and then up into there. I just got to clean it up, round it off, and
that's that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these holes big up here, and I'm going to put a smaller Allen key bolt in it, and what that's going to give me is a mil or two of movement where I can true that guard up side to side. So even though I feel like it's pretty good now, I'm heaps picky, and when the bikes, you should be building bikes like this on a proper flat hoist. So the front wheel's locked in, the frame's true, and you're running a straight line right down. This is an old school way of building choppers, and they didn't do this back in the 50s. They didn't have big fancy stuff in the 50s. They just threw them together and down the road they went. So that's what this is going to do, but it will niggle me if I park it up, walk away, look back and go, that's a little cockeyed, you know. Like, so those struts I'm going to make adjustable, just side to side. Just up and down is going to be fine, just so I can tweak it wherever I want, and it'll be mint. So I'm happy with that. That guard's pretty much on there now, and just do one more strut for the right side, and that's on. That's day done. Dude, if it was good enough for Jenna Jameson, good enough for me.